Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And on today's episode, we're talking about getting your small business the media attention that you deserve. So I think what that means is we're going to give you the foolproof blueprint to get on the front page of every single newspaper and how to get interviewed on every single nightly news that ever existed. I don't know. Maybe I'm making big promises. We'll find out. But I have a very special guest with me, Jill Lublin, and she's going to probably figuratively slap me a little bit and tell us exactly what that means. So Jill, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'm delighted to be here. You know, what media means is that you're a front runner. I mean, really just it gets you seen, it gets you heard, it gets you paid. And frankly, whatever media you get into, whether it's the biggest or the smallest, in this case, size does not matter. What we're talking about is the opportunity to be seen and to get your message really spread, to have influence and impact. That's what I want for all of you. And that's what media does. So I'm never concerned whether it's, the Today Show or your local daily news or your, CBS station affiliate or a newsletter, perhaps of a organization you're part of. It all matters and it all counts. You know who taught me that, by the way, Brendan?
Who's that?
Actually, Mark Victor Hansen hired me. He did a book with Robert Allen, 1 Minute Millionaire. Great book, by the way, if you haven't read it. And they had me strategize PR with them 1 year before the book was out. So this is a lesson about being ahead of the game and planting your publicity garden. But one of the things Mark Victor Hansen, who you probably have all heard of from Chicken Soup for the Soul fame, he said to me, Jill, we discovered how powerful PR it was when we put out Chicken Soup for the Soul. And it's really what helped us sell 85 billion copies of Chicken Soup plus their company for a lot of money. And let me just say, publicity is that generative revenue tool that really is the catapulting piece. And frankly, the trust factor in today's marketplace that has you be seen, has your energy and who you are and what you represent and what your company really does, at the front. Can't beat it as a marketing strategy. It's perfection.
No, I love it. That's a good breakdown too. So obviously I was being ridiculous at the start of the show. But you hit the point home because you're right. The size doesn't matter because this right here is technically, this is media, right? Like podcasts are also media, and it's more about how you use it than what it is, I think. So
that's right.
I'm curious, when we talk about size doesn't matter, that has to lead into that question of why, right? Like, because everybody has this picture in their mind. Like if I'm on the front page of the Wall Street Journal or if I'm on the Today Show, like my business is going to just blow up overnight by default. It doesn't matter what I do. But that's definitely not the case. So when you say size doesn't matter, I mean, talk about a little bit about how we're using the publicity and the media to our advantage to actually be that authority in the space.
Well, number one, whenever you're seen anywhere, like me being on this podcast right now, I'm an authority, and you will listen differently to me. And one of the things when you are on, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a local show, your local biz journal, wherever you are, you must have something that people can have. So, at the end of the show, we're going to have an opportunity for you to get a free gift from me. But I always want you to have some way to, shall we say, capture the people who are listening, who are excited, who are potential clients for you. And, people also have a funny thing about they save things, they file it, they put it, they mark it, they bookmark it. You don't know what people are doing. What matters is that they're taking an action and frankly, listening right in that moment or later, doesn't even matter. What does matter is that you give people a way to contact you. You make sure that is part of it, right? Whatever way that is. With some of you, you're going to say, when I work with clients, when I help people do this, X, right? And you make sure that you put that into the interview, whether it's print or like this, audio or television or whatever way it is that you're driving people to you. That's a key.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've seen, as a host, I'll say I've seen both sides of that. I've seen it done really, really well. And then I've seen the follow me on Instagram and there's nothing left. Just follow me. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I asked the question, because I'm curious. Maybe we can dive into this later about, setting that up, setting your, I hate to say funnel, but your process up to convert people into leads, into sales, to grow your business and grow your authority that way. But I'm also curious, but we have to take a step back. I mean, before you get on media, you have to identify where you should be. So in getting your business the media it deserves, where do you start in that process when you're working with clients about, picking, is it the nightly news? Is it a newspaper? Is it a podcast? Is it all of these things? What does that look like for you?
So my thing is, when I'm working with clients, the question is, who do you serve? And what are they reading? What are they watching? What are they listening to? And yes, podcasts are very big and hot. And I always feel that they are wonderfully, shall we say, one of the easier things to get on faster. Like there are, matching services, which is how you and I came together, like podmatch.com. So there are ways that we can find them simpler. And again, all media matters. Remember that. Everything counts. So I would start typically with podcasts. I would also get an article written, let's say 500 to 800 words, 500 to 800 words, have an article written and get that published on medium.com. Now you are a published author. And that is an incredible thing. So I like mixing it up with media, that you have printed articles, heard voice, read, and as much listened to and seen as possible, which is why I love podcasts so much, because now it's all video and audio.
Imagine that. It's a beautiful medium, right?
Yes.
I'll tell you what, I started this podcast because everyone in my life, all of our marketing friends told us, you have to put out content online. And I was like, I hate you for even saying that, because I don't like social media and I don't like putting out content. But you know what I can do? Have conversations with real people every single day. That sounds easy. Let me go do that. So that's my little hack for anybody listening out there about why this podcast came to be. And maybe you should create one too. But aside from that, that's step one. So you get them on podcasts, you get an article published. Maybe you're working on bigger media at the same time in the background. That just takes a little bit longer. Once that starts to happen, your episodes start to air, your interviews start to air, your posts, your blog posts, articles start to be published. What then do you focus on doing with your clients as they start to become that authority?
Well, one thing is stay consistent and persistent. I think people tend to do, I call them like one hit wonders. Oh, I got on that podcast. Phew. It's, for my clients, for a month is our goal. Okay. For any interview, but certainly for podcasts, very doable, by the way. But if, start with 2 a month. So set goals, number one, and that way you're more likely to reach them. You all understand that. You're business owners and operators, right? So you want to set goals and be specific about them. And that goes for your media. I want to make sure that you are capturing people's contacts and name, and then you have a process for that. Like, what's your process once people have heard you? My process is they come to a free live masterclass with me, and then they get invited to my media mastery intensive. So I have a process. Some people will jump that process and say, how do I consult with you? I need strategic publicity consulting. We have the answer to that. So one thing, it's interesting to me is make sure you have answers to people's questions about how they can work with you. But I'll tell you, I have seen case study after case study of being in media interviews and watching how it actually does convert to clients. And certainly queries convert to clients, right? So the power of publicity is that it drives leads and referrals and gets you clients. And that honestly should be mostly the sole purpose for you doing PR. The other purpose being one of those non-measurable ones, which is creating trust in the marketplace, getting credibility and visibility, pointing your media to people who are thinking about working with you so that they trust you more. Oh, if you're being featured, you must be smart, you must be good at what you do. It's an automatic assumption. So that's what I want for you. And that's the tangibles that do turn into long-term relationships.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. But the one thing that just popped in my head too, when you said your clients earlier, your goal is to get on four podcasts or four publications a month. Um, what popped in my head was our personal goal at What If between me and my business partner is two a week, so four a week total for the company. And then my very next thought was after I patted myself on the back with that giant ego stroke that was. I know I heard it too. Um, but what if people think their business is boring and they don't even know what to speak. They don't know why they would go on a podcast. Um, a trucking company, for example. This is a specific example I'm thinking of. The person was like, my business, what am I going to talk about on a podcast? So for those people, I mean, the same things still apply. You need publicity, you need media coverage. Your business in your head might be boring, but somebody obviously needs to hire you. So what do you do in those situations where it's not one of those, big sexy businesses and it's maybe a little bit more unique or niche? How do you tackle that?
Well, funny enough, I actually had a major transportation
Nice,
company.
nice.
Yes. And, part of what they were doing, by the way, was speaking over people's heads. Like nobody could
Mm,
understand what they really did. So, one of the things I'm always big on is let's make sure your message is key and quotable and concise and focused. That's something actually really important. Number two, nobody's business is boring, but one of the things I have as a unique angle that most people won't talk to you about is I like you to use what I like to call everything you've got. So if you're a CEO of a trucking company, you probably have had a lot of experience. I'll call it in the trenches, real world problems. Do you know how many CEOs and business owners need your advice? How to deal with people, how to solve problems that come up, how do you manage multiple kinds of tasks. I mean, these are important and good skills that every CEO needs. So whether you're doing trucking, hospitals, whether you're consulting, and whatever area you're in, first of all, just to reassure you, there's nothing boring. Part of it is to find the right angle, and that comes back to message. So it's never about boring. And yeah, you probably don't want to be talking about the trucking company, but frankly, in all of your cases, I'm going to say to all of you, we're not just talking about your business. We're giving people real things that they can use that will catapult their success based on yours. In it could be one area. But to me, talking to CEO of a trucking company, how interesting that would be, right? And the diversity of all of your experience is really what serves people.
I love that answer. If you're out there listening and you happen to be the CEO of a trucking and logistics company, I too would love to talk to you. So please write something in the comments. We'd love to interview you on this show. Because yeah, that's true. It's like you have experience outside of just what your company does, and that's the other thing too. It's not a sales pitch, right? It's sharing your story, and then if someone wants to work with you, they can connect with the thing that you do. I love that approach to it, Jill. So the other thing that I was going to ask you about too is once you do this, like you're getting on shows, you're getting things written about you, you're being consistent and persistent, like you said, and it's scaling and you're starting to see results from it. That's that's great. Do you ever want to get a little bit more focused and start to get on maybe bigger shows, bigger publications, or do you still just take the mindset of, just keep hitting singles like it's working and just keep doing more of what's working?
I think you stay consistent. Now, the answer that might be different is if you have something very specific you're launching to a very target market, right? In that case, we would target market the places, probably more publications that you would be featured in, and that, let's say it's tech or, something very specific. But to me, business stories are business stories, and I love crossing across boundaries because I think people are interested, and that everybody has different aspects and privileged stories that they can tell, including the tough ones, the best ones, the interesting and the not so interesting. But I think people do want to hear your stories. And so the only distinction I'd make is the target markets very specifically. Otherwise, I think a business story is a great business story, and there are lots of opportunities in business publications plus local to get featured. So that's what I'd be going after first.
Yeah, I guess I mean I have a question around that too. When you're first starting, you obviously want to find your target market to start with before you start branching off into other markets. But when it is that time, how do you know what's a right market to branch into? For example, so we do business consulting. I would probably not want to be on a podcast or have an interview about crocheting. I'm not good at crochet. I've never crocheted in my life. There's just nothing there, right? Like that seems like a bad approach for me. But health and fitness, I'm really passionate about. I can share my story. I can't share health and fitness tips with you by any means, but I can share my story. Is that where you kind of start to cross that line? Like the things you're passionate about, you have a story about, like you said, or is it just testing?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is I call it use everything you've got. So if you're into health and fitness and you're in a health and fitness podcast and you say, hey, as a CEO of, right? And then of course your website appears, how you connect to you appears. And because somebody's in health and fitness, they're going, oh, yeah, Brandon's pretty cool. Yeah, I want to work with him because I have that in common. And now it goes over to business. And you know what? I see this happen a lot. That, I had a financial planner get in a blog about his wife's breast cancer journey. Do you know from being in that blog, his web stats went up by 37%. His website stats went up by 37%. He got 9 clients and 15 prospects from that one blog post about his wife's breast cancer journey, having nothing to do with financial planning, but establishing personal connection. And that is worth talking about. So I am really big because I've seen it every day in my career, and I'm spanning a 30-year career right now. And let me share with you that when you start, and especially in today's market, using everything you've got and different aspects of who you are, people will relate to you differently. Most importantly, and this is a really important point, I want you to just say yes. No matter what the media says, can you talk about this? You're going to say yes. And now you have me in your front pocket, and we can figure out what's called a bridge for how to take what they're talking about to what you need to talk about, where you want to drive people. But everything matters. Remember that.
I love it. That's semi-terrifying, but also really good advice. Who knows? Maybe I'll go on a crocheting podcast now. I'll call you up. I need some coaching on that one because that
You
doesn't make
got it.
sense to me. Jill, this has been a lot of fun. We only scratched the surface, I know, of publicity, PR, and media attention. So where should people go to learn more about you and take that next step and hopefully get their business media coverage?
Well, I know we're going to flash on the screen. I've got a wonderful action guide and free publicity masterclass for you, which is direct and live with me, interactive. And if you can put up publicitycrashcourse.com/free gift is where you get it, how you go to it. And to connect with me generally, please go to jilllublin.com. I look forward to helping you and really keeping you on that publicity journey and opening up new ways that you can affect and impact others.
I love it, Jill. I'm good at a lot of things. Technology is not one of them. So no, I can't put that website on the screen, but everything Jill said will be in the show notes and description down below. So you can go click away and check out that free masterclass. Jill, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here too. This was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Now, I can't let you go unless there's one last question that we need before I let you go. And it is the most important question because we believe here at What If, powerful questions get powerful answers. So I want to know from you, what is a question that the listener can ask themselves If they're new to this journey of getting media attention, if they're seasoned vets and they want to take it to the next level, whatever it is, wherever they are on that journey, what is the powerful question they can ask themselves to take their journey to the next level?
Is my message clear? But don't just ask yourself. Tell your message to somebody else, and then ask them. Is my message clear? You will, your eyes will be open, I'm sure, and more good ways to see where the holes are and how you need to express so that it's even better.
I love it. Your eyes will be opened, maybe shocked. Jill can help you put the pieces back together. Jill, this has been awesome. Thank you. For those of you watching and listening, wherever you are, again, all the notes and links are down in the show notes below. So go click around, go contact Jill, check out the masterclass, but also subscribe. We want to make sure that you don't miss an episode of this podcast every single day of the week, because we want to help you grow your business and build a more harmonious business and life. We'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for being here.